The Ides of March, March 15th, 44 BC. Trusting the men he had pardoned, Caesar went to the Senate meeting without a bodyguard. It was a trap. The senators surrounded him, they pulled daggers from inside their togas, and they stabbed him. Again, and again, and again, 23 times. And as he was falling, bleeding on the floor, he saw the face of Marcus Brutus, a man he loved like a son. Greetings and welcome to History Shots. Today, we're diving into the story of a man whose ambition was so massive it shattered a republic, and whose name, well, it literally became a synonym for power itself. This is the incredible story of Julius Caesar, the man who would become a god. So, let's set the scene. Our story kicks off not in some grand palace or on a bloody battlefield, but out on the open sea more than 2,000 years ago. A 25-year-old Roman noble gets captured by pirates. They think they've just hit the jackpot. Oh, they have no idea. They've just made the single biggest mistake of their lives. The pirates, they demand 20 talents of silver. That's about $600,000 in today's money. A fortune, right? But their captive, his reaction isn't fear. It's something else entirely. He laughs. He actually laughs right in their faces. He tells them he's insulted by how low their demand is, and he insists they ask for more than double, 50 talents. That's over $1.5 million. The pirates are so completely stunned, they actually agree to it. So for the next 38 days, while his ransom is being collected, he treats these pirates less like captors and more like his personal assistants. He recites his poetry, demands they quiet down when he wants to sleep, and even joins in their games. All the while, he repeatedly tells them, probably with a smile, exactly what he's going to do when he gets out. I will find you, and I will crucify you. The pirates thought he was joking. He wasn't joking. That young man was Gaius Julius Caesar, and true to his word, the moment he was free, he raised a fleet, hunted those men down, and had every last one of them crucified. This one story, it tells you everything you need to know about the man, his pride, his brilliance, and his absolute rootlessness. So you have to ask, where does that kind of staggering self-belief come from? Well, Caesar was born into an ancient Roman family that claimed they were directly descended from the goddess Venus. So from his very first breath, he was raised to believe he wasn't just special, he was literally destined for greatness. But that destiny, it came knocking a lot sooner than he expected. At just 16 years old, his father died, and suddenly Caesar was the head of the family. In the cutthroat, backstabbing world of Roman politics, he had to learn to swim or drown. Okay, so how did he start his climb up that ladder? Caesar knew, better than anyone, that in Rome, you didn't just take power. No, you had to build it, piece by piece, through money, through favors, and through some very powerful friends. His real masterstroke was forming a secret alliance with Rome's two most powerful men at the time, Pompey and Crassus. And just to seal the deal with Pompey, a guy decades older than him, Caesar did something unthinkable. He married off his only beloved daughter, Julia. To Caesar, absolutely nothing, and no one, was off limits in his quest for power. All right, so now he's a major player in Rome. But he needed one more thing to make himself truly untouchable: military glory. He set his sights on the vast, barbarian lands of Gaul, aiming to build a reputation so legendary, no one in Rome could ever challenge him again. For 8 long years, his legions just carved this brutal path of conquest through what we now call France and Belgium. And the cost was staggering. Ancient historians estimate that over 1 million Gauls were killed and another 1 million were sold into slavery. His defining moment, though, came at a place called Alesia. He had the main Gallic army trapped inside their fortress, but a massive relief army was on its way to attack him from behind. Suddenly, he wasn't the hunter anymore. He was the one who was trapped. Now, any other general would have retreated, but Caesar, he did the exact opposite. He built an 11-mile wall facing inward to keep the enemy penned in, and then he built a second 13-mile wall facing outward to fight off the army that was coming for him. It was an insane, brilliant, and utterly brutal feat of engineering that won him the war and turned him into a living legend. But while Caesar's soldiers were hailing him as a hero, back in Rome, people were calling him something else entirely, a threat. His power was now terrifying to the Senate, and most of all, to his old ally Pompey. The Senate gave him an ultimatum: give up your army and come back to Rome. But it was a trap, and he knew it. He'd be prosecuted and ruined. So Caesar made a choice. He marched his army across the Rubicon River, the legal boundary of Italy. This was an irreversible act of treason. It was a declaration of war on his own country. After he defeated Pompey's armies, Caesar chased him all the way to Egypt. There, the young Egyptian king tried to get on his good side by presenting him with a gift: Pompey's severed head. The king expected thanks. What he got was Caesar's fury. See, Pompey was his enemy, yes, but he was a Roman, and in Caesar's mind, only a Roman had the right to kill a Roman. And it was right here in Egypt that he met a woman who was every bit as ambitious as he was, the young Queen Cleopatra. In a move that is now legendary, she had herself smuggled through enemy lines, rolled up inside a carpet, and delivered to Caesar's private chambers. When that rug was unfurled, Caesar, the most powerful man in the world, was completely captivated. Back in Rome, now as its absolute ruler, he just unleashed this whirlwind of reforms. He gave land to his soldiers, food to the poor, making him incredibly popular with the common people. But to the old guard, the powerful senators, this wasn't reform. No, this was the behavior of a king. And for a republic that was founded on overthrowing a king, well, that was a death sentence. Caesar had conquered all his rivals, but now he was about to make one fatal mistake. And it wasn't a military one. It was a mistake of character. He believed mercy was a weapon, that it could turn his enemies into his allies. He was dead wrong. He pardoned the very men who fought a war against him, men like Brutus and Cassius. And he didn't just forgive them, he promoted them, gave them power, treated them like his closest friends. But for them, his mercy wasn't a gift. It was a constant reminder of his absolute power, a daily humiliation, and it's what sealed his fate. The Ides of March, March 15th, 44 BC. Trusting the men he had pardoned, Caesar went to the Senate meeting without a bodyguard. It was a trap. The senators surrounded him, they pulled daggers from inside their togas, and they stabbed him. Again, and again, and again, 23 times. And as he was falling, bleeding on the floor, he saw the face of Marcus Brutus, a man he loved like a son. Now, Shakespeare gave us that famous line, et tu, Brute. But the historian Suetonius reports something far more personal, something whispered in Greek. Kai su teknon, you too, my child? The assassins screamed that they killed a tyrant to save the Republic. They did the exact opposite. His death unleashed another decade of civil war that completely destroyed the Republic for good. And the final perfect irony? A couple of years later, the Senate officially declared the man they had murdered a god. So, the question is still being debated 2,000 years later. Was he a hero of the people who brought order out of chaos? Or was he a power-hungry tyrant who destroyed a democracy? What do you think? Let us know down in the comments. And if you found this story fascinating, please like this explainer and subscribe to History Shots for more deep dives into the lives that shaped our world.